Whether we remember it or not, I'm sure most of us made up games to play when we were younger. Simple playground games, or even younger still when we played imagination with our toys. Because of this fairly common occurrence, it should be no surprise that when video games released that gave us the tools to create our own fun, it spread like wildfire. Halo Forge mode, Call of Duty private matches, Grand Theft Auto. All of these are games that gave players more control to create their own fun. But one game would stand at the top in this regard: Minecraft. Back when I was growing up in school, not all of my friends had the same video game consoles. But one thing everyone did have was Minecraft on their computer. Minecraft ended up becoming the one uniting game for almost everyone I knew. As great as Minecraft was, I found myself wishing that I could play custom games from other series with all of my Minecraft friends for a larger, more chaotic, grander time. And then I discovered command blocks. Minecraft has something called creative mode, which allows you to freely build and create to your heart's content. But command blocks don't show up in the search menu. You have to manually give yourself them. After discovering and tinkering with command blocks, I was able to make my own custom minigame in Minecraft that was based on all the other games' custom game modes. And it was horrible. Don't get me wrong, it worked and I played it with my friends. But it was barely functional and had no semblance of balance whatsoever. This was back around Java Edition 1.5, when command blocks were first introduced and the multitude of tools that Minecraft now offers were nowhere to be seen. Despite this, I kept working on it for a few months and had some silly fun with my friends. As the years progressed, I would revisit making my own custom Minecraft minigames every other year or so. Sometimes the things I'd make would never be seen by another person. Other times, I'd be able to convince a few of my friends to try out what I had created. It's been about a year since a group of my friends and I had a private Minecraft server, and I was getting the Minecraft itch again. So I figured, why not update my Minecraft minigame to the latest Java edition and showcase it off on my YouTube channel, Journey and Final Product. My minigame pits two teams against each other: assassins versus targets. Assassins are invisible except for their boots. While being a lot more mobile than targets, they are much more vulnerable. Targets will always have a slight numbers advantage over the assassins, and are much more powerful in direct encounters. Since introduced in Minecraft version 1.9, attack cooldown has become an important component in the minigame. For a quick explanation, whenever you first equip a weapon, or immediately after attacking, a cooldown indicator appears. Attacking before this indicator is full will deal reduced damage. Assassins have a significantly longer attack cooldown in comparison to the targets, forcing them to use their mobility to avoid direct encounters. So this is the current latest version of my Minecraft minigame, and if I hit F3, you can see that it's on version 1.20.6, which is not latest Minecraft Java Edition version. But it's also a paper server, which means that it utilizes some plugins, which are basically just lightweight mods that only the server needs to install. Now, because I want to make this vanilla only, I'm going to have to rework or find alternatives to some of the plugin mechanics that I'm using. But that's actually not a ton of the minigame that does not use plugins. So the first step is going to be to kind of updating everything to the latest Minecraft version. And that could include some difficulties like commands, and how you function things might adjust between versions. But while I'm adjusting, there are two kind of ravines splitting this map. And I don't want them to just be below, where if you drop down you die. I also want them to extend upwards a little bit. And if I go over here, you can see
Bro, I'm straight up not having a good time.
You can see that in the pregame lobby, I already have this decorative ravine chasm that shows where players can ready up and adjust everything. But if I actually go outside, you'll see that it's not connected. It's just its own thing. So I figure, why not throw that on top of on top of where I want the extended ravine and see how it looks. Hey, I just finished moving around that ravine and putting it above this chasm, which it does look a lot better, especially as you're approaching it, and see that it clearly goes up. And even if you're all the way up here at the pregame lobby, it's a good distance away before you actually get down to the bottom, but you can still kind of see part of the map, so there's this nice continuity between the two. Now, the next thing I need to work on is adjusting these traps. So, the assassin role gets to trigger these traps periodically, and they have temporary map-altering effects, whether it's temporarily blocking off access or even dropping this bridge so that way they have to take a longer way around. And while I do have the core of the traps ready, because I kind of moved this map around a little bit in preparation for it to be released on pure vanilla, the coordinates aren't the exact same where the blocks are located in the world, so the traps need slight adjustments to put in the right coordinates. I'll start with this broken bridges trap because it is personally my favorite, and I'll see if I can get it up and working on this latest version. Alright, and now when we throw a snowball near this broken bridges trap, it plays a sound, and then it falls. That's not supposed to stay down there. It didn't get set back in the right place. Okay, let's try that again. Hopefully this sets it back in the right position. Okay, it fell and they actually were destroyed near the bottom, and then they got replaced in the right position. Perfect. Now, does this one over here work? It should push out... There we go. Yep, it pushes out the block so players cannot cross over, and that's supposed to be filled with water. There we go. It fills with water properly now. The length at the top that these traps stay active and how long it takes for them to come off cooldown are adjustable. I'm just using a very short time frame for both, just so this way I can make sure that the
Peace.
That the traps are working functionally, and I don't have to wait like 20 seconds each. So that's basically how most traps are going. That is how almost. That's how the rest of the traps are going to function. The assassin throws the snowball in the general vicinity, and they activate. So with that, now it's time to update the rest of the traps. The next thing I want to work on is something I like to call the orb event. So there are 6 of these per blocks scattered around the map, and periodically I want to spawn a Heart of the Sea on one of them randomly. There's a glowing armor stand beneath each of those 6 per blocks, and the idea of it is to get the targets and assassins both moving, where the targets have to try and find where the orb actually spawned and pick it up, and they'll get a small bonus. And the assassins have to defend the orb as best as they can. And the idea behind this is that while the targets are running around trying to figure out where the orb is, the assassins can go ahead and intercept them, maybe activate some traps, maybe attack them. Just something to get movement flowing throughout the map. And like I mentioned, there'll be small bonus incentives to both targets and assassins, depending on if they defend or if the targets successfully pick up the orb. I can't make it so it's the first team that picks up the orb, because the assassins, due to their better mobility, will just always get to it first no matter what. Okay, time to see if I've set this up correctly. Okay, so it's counting down and it's telling me it's in this lava room back here, which is correct. I didn't see it spawn over here or over here. Okay, that's good. But now will it, when that timer reaches 0, will the orb despawn?
12 seconds later.
Okay, it did. And it removed the timer. Now, that's only if you're the assassin will you actually see the orb timer. Now, if I'm the target and I run that command, you do get an orb timer, but you don't see where it is. So it is in the water trap, by the water trap, but it's not at the top, the boss bar does not tell you where the orb is. It just gives you a time until it despawns. Now on to coding the bonuses the players get. All right, now let's spawn the orb and see if I did this properly. Right, so the orb spawns in the library, and since I am on the assassin team, I shouldn't be able to pick it up. Fuck! All right, let's try that one more time. I am on the team assassin, so I should not be able to pick up this orb. Okay, yep, it works. And if that timer at the top runs out, we should get a message and this orb should despawn. Okay, and there we have it. We have the defend success message that popped up. If we were to do that again as the targets, we have to find where the orb is. Oh, it's right here. And if we pick it up, we should get a success. Well then, let's try that one more time. Found it, so let's pick it up. Well, shit. Okay, there we go. So now it properly registers if you get the orb, and if you'll see in the bottom left, a staircase has appeared. So every time the targets get the orb, they'll get small bonuses, but the map will also be updated. So before, the staircase wasn't here, so you could only drop down, but now the staircase is back. It exists again. So I'm gonna double check, and this should not appear again when the targets collect another orb, so I'm going to quickly test that. So I realized before I found the next orb that another feature of the orb event was not actually triggering. So if I do this, you can see that each orb location glows through the wall. So that way targets don't need to have insane map knowledge in order to find where they need to search. And these glows will actually disappear. Alright, so they're supposed to disappear when a target walks near them and the orb isn't there. We didn't get the staircase reward, but we did get something called yellow map. Yeah, something tells me that's not how that's supposed to look. There we go, alright. Now it's working properly, where if you get near it, the glow will disappear. Blue map warps are now available, and it doesn't look like a bunch of misinput text. So one of the possible map rewards the targets can get, are access to these warp paths that'll warp you around the map to give you, just a little bit of increased mobility. Now, if we do that again, And this time I can find where the orb is. Keep in mind this timer is also set low for testing purposes. It won't be this short in the actual minigame, but it's not going to be a super long time either. So if I go near this one, the glow doesn't go away even though I'm near it because the orb is right here. So if I pick this up, I get a pit has been covered, which is another type of map reward. So there's two general types of map rewards. The stronghold staircase and the pit covering are alterations to the map. So before you could fall down here and die, but now this pit has been covered to make this area a lot safer. And then the second type of general map are these warps. So there are 3 warps and there are 3 map alterations. And I will go ahead and keep on testing this until I reach the maximum and make sure that it doesn't try to repeat a reward that's already triggered. So I've gone ahead and cleaned up a little bit of the visuals. So for some of the warps, the naming was off a block, or it was the item being built was off a block. So now that I have all that, I think hopefully fixed, I'll quickly go through and showcase everything, every potential map alteration that the targets can get if they grab the orb. The map alterations are chosen completely at random, so you never quite know what you're going to get. So in the bottom left, magenta map warps, which warp you between this mine shaft at the ravine right here into the jail cells in the stronghold right here. And these doors will actually remain closed if this map alteration is not gathered. So this also gives a little bit extra room for the targets to maneuver. And a bridge has been built, is right here. It adds a pathway between these two sides of the map of this ravine splitting down this way. So this is a major map alteration for targets. It gives them a lot more maneuverability. They can get from over here to the library without having to run all the way around. So this is a very spicy one. Targets are really gonna enjoy having this one if they get lucky enough to get it early. Now, blue map warps will warp you from this side of the mine shaft closer to the lava room to the stronghold library, and vice versa. And a staircase has appeared. This adds this staircase here, whereas before it was a 2-block drop-off, so targets wouldn't be able to normally traverse up here, but it just adds a nice, convenient little shortcut.
What the fuck?
So that was a very bizarre edge case that I thought I had accounted for, but the game thought the targets both grabbed the orb and failed to pick it up. So I'm gonna have to add a little extra edge case modifier just so that way that shouldn't happen. Yellow map warps between this mossy dungeon to the stronghold and vice versa. Now, what's actually interesting and unique about this yellow warp in the stronghold is the stronghold has something called a lockdown trap, where when activated, this door closes and these iron bars get filled in, temporarily blocking targets in this area. But it also uses sticky pistons and covers the warp, so they can't even get out through the warp. Normally, you really wouldn't notice this unless you were standing right here when the trap activated or deactivated, like so. But it's just a nice little touch to this trap for having a warp right here. Alright, and if you see in the bottom left, all map orb rewards gained, assassins get revealed. If the targets manage to grab enough orbs, and they get all 3 map warps and all 3 map alterations unlocked, then it will reveal the assassin through the walls for all the targets. So even though targets will still get their personal orb rewards, and even though there aren't any more map alterations available, they still get a little bonus for getting that far. Now that we have the orb reward event up and working, it is now time to work on creating the target classes. And each target class will have their own orb reward, so along with the map alterations from collecting the orb, they will also get a personal bonus depending on their class. And each class has an ability that has a cooldown that is usually a little more powerful, along with having some basic advantages in specific areas. Okay, after some work, I have gone ahead and updated some of the classes, and to show you, when you step onto this pressure plate, you'll become the Armor Spirit class, and it will teleport you to the pre-game lobby. So once all the players, or after a set amount of time, are in this little pre-game lobby holder, then they'll be spread randomly throughout the map, and the match will start. And like I had mentioned previously, the XP level at the bottom is actually a cooldown timer for every target class's ability, and once it reaches near 0, it'll tell you sneak/crouch to use. And the Armor Spirit gets to throw an axe that can deal damage if it hits the assassin. Now, the next thing to get up and running is actually getting players into the game. So I have this button right here that when you click it, it should start the game as long as there are more than 2 players in this little pre-lobby area. And I want to have these gold blocks here, so if any player is standing on them when the match starts, they will have priority to be the assassin. Otherwise, if no one's on them, then the assassins are completely random. Just a fun little way to add a little extra control if someone hasn't been the assassin for a while and they want to be, or if you want to let one person specifically not be the assassin, then everyone else stands on this. So let's get to testing that.
I now have at the bottom of the screen a text that displays random assassin selection for when you click the button, but it will update to whenever there's a player on this golden block that it lists who has the assassin priority. To help me test starting the match and making sure everything goes a-okay, I have
Fuck the flesh people.
a little robot. So let's test it and see what breaks. Well, shit. Uh-oh. Alright, hopefully I don't get teleported over the void this time. Hey! Alright, we now have a fancy little timer that tells us how long until the match starts, and I am the assassin this time around, but theoretically, as soon as we see my test account through this little iron bar, the timer will rapidly drop down and start the match. So I have a little system in place where if every player is ready, the match will very rapidly begin. And if a player isn't ready in before the time the match starts, then they will simply be booted into a spectator mode. I also have the system set up to where if I were to die as the assassin, just for any reason, the game will recognize that the targets have won and give them a congratulation message, as well as sending everyone back to the lobby to begin another match. And the same is also true if the targets win. Now that I've got the starting the match and ending the match if a player is dead, it is time to work on the assassin, which is a little bit more, not even a little bit, quite a bit more in-depth in comparison to the target classes. And because I want to try doing all this in vanilla, some features I'm going to have to either make workarounds or scrap altogether, because I was using plugins to help me do so. So without further ado, let's try and get all the assassin tools up and running. Every single assassin will get the same set of general tools, one of which is the snowballs that they can use to activate traps,
and they should only be able to hold on to one trap at a time, and then once they use it after 50 seconds, they will automatically get another trap. So if I throw this, after 50 seconds or so, it should give me another snowball to use. Now, one of the other tools for the assassins is something I like to call the scan banner, where if you hold it, any nearby targets get highlighted and you can see them through the walls. This is a little bit of a double-edged sword, as other targets will also be able to see each other. This can help them group up or get their bearings, so it's not exactly the best to always keep it out. And targets, if they see that they're revealed, then generally speaking, they're going to be aware that they're being looked for, so that kind of puts them a little bit on the guard. And just like that, we have another use trap. Now, another function that I don't think actually worked was each assassin gets their own personal teleporter that they can set in a location they've been to and then teleport back after a few seconds, but that didn't seem to work. So I'm gonna go look at that and figure out why the frick not. Okay, there we go. Now if I hold the teleport nether star, after 3 seconds I'll teleport back to this initial spot. And if I right click with this move teleporter, it teleports this little invisible armor stand, which lets you know where the teleporter is. And this can also, it doesn't obey gravity, so it can theoretically be placed anywhere that you yourself can get to. But the downside is that when you try to teleport, it dramatically slows you down. So it's more just to give the assassin more tools to help them in their being sneaky, running around and defeating and clearing out all their targets. These are all the tools that every assassin will get throughout the match. Before, I used a plugin to open up a menu mid-match for the assassin to buy extra equipment or perks. And I'm currently working on a replacement that'll work in vanilla Minecraft. If that does not pan out to work, I'm gonna have to work on some alternatives. So in the old minigame before that used plugins, assassins would drop this gold nugget in their inventory and it would bring up a shop menu. And if they had tokens, they would be able to purchase a variety of things from equipment to perks. And I like this idea, but at the same time, I'm hesitant to go forward with it. As before, assassins would start with a set number of tokens depending on the amount of players. They could only buy so much equipment and perks, but they would get tokens through the orb event by successfully defending it. And I kind of want to steer away from that notion. I would rather the assassins not kind of wait around for the orb event to happen. I want it to be more of a, hey, this is happening, let's, as something to shake up the match a little bit, and not so much assassins are waiting for it to start in order to get the match going. So with that said, I'm gonna have to find a way to, I'm gonna figure out a way to rework some of these perks and equipment into other components of the game. Instead of having an in-game shop, the assassins before the match starts get to choose from one of 3 different perks. Lava Lunge, that makes them stronger whenever they touch lava, while also giving them immunity to lava and fire. Energy Drain, that is a bit more unique, that powers them up whenever they attack targets with an ability ready. And then Escape Artist, that allows them to drop a smoke screen. And to show that the assassins can jump 3 blocks high, it's listed at the bottom of the screen that players have to jump on this diamond block to confirm it, and then they can see that they jump up high. So since I've chosen the Escape Artist class, it should take 2 seconds instead of 3 to teleport if I were to hold my teleporter. And if I hold my teleporter, well, that took 3 seconds. Okay, that took 2 seconds. So, gonna need to fix that a little bit. But, as seen with the Escape Artist ability, whenever I teleport, I drop a smoke screen. Let me go ahead and move this teleporter here, so this way we can get a better visual of when I teleport. I drop a smoke screen, and when I'm in the smoke screen, I have speed 2 and haste 2 to ready my attacks faster. Instead of making the equipment side something you buy, instead the assassins will get a random piece of equipment if they succeed on an orb defend. So that way they can't exactly pick and choose, where they get to experience all variety of equipment. So once I succeed in this, I didn't get any equipment. Okay, I fixed the issue, and I also noticed that I wasn't getting the use trap item. So I fixed that problem, and because I chose the Escape Artist, when I throw this snowball, it should also create a smoke screen. So I throw it, and it creates a little smoke screen. So instead of being restricted to just teleporting, the Escape Artist can also throw Use Trap to try and activate the smoke screen without being forced to leap across the world by teleporting. And now when I succeed in this orb defend right here, I should be able to get a random piece of equipment. And I got an extra trap use. So I only have 2 pieces of equipment and then this extra trap use, which doesn't just give me an extra trap use, it allows me to stock up to 2 at a time. So the recharge for the snowball using trap item does not actually start until I throw the snowball. But because I got an extra one from that orb defend, I can stock up to 2. So if I were to throw both of these snowballs and then get out of the lava, after 50 seconds, I'll get another use trap, but then it'll keep counting down until I get 2 again. So instead of only being able to hold a max of 1, because I got that use trap from the equipment, I can hold a max of 2, but it still takes 50 seconds to recharge just 1. Okay, shock trick. So this shock trick, when thrown, creates a temporary trap, and I will show what I mean by throwing it down over here. So when you throw the trident down, it stays there and then converts nearby blocks to this yellow carpet. And any target that is standing on the yellow carpet will be damaged by the trident. So if I take my other account, as soon as the other account tries to step onto the yellow carpet, they take damage, and it'll actually push them away. And after a while, it does despawn and go away. I got something called the Ice Mine. Now, this one, unlike the shock trick where you throw it, this one you have to place, and when you place it, you'll see it for a second, and it follows gravity, and as soon as it realizes it's no longer falling, it is no longer visually there for you to see, but it still exists there. And it activates whenever a target walks near it. Alongside exploding and damaging the target, it also leaves behind powdered snow to slow the targets down. And this isn't an issue because the assassin's boots are leather boots dyed. So the assassins can stand on top of it or move through it without having to worry about taking any freezing damage. And none of the target classes have leather boots. And just like with the shock trick, the powdered snow disappears after a while. Yeah, that's the general overview of my assassin minigame that I've been working on and off for over a decade on. Just wanted to share it with everyone, see what their thoughts are, anything interesting they liked, anything specific or extra anyone wanted to see. see if anyone has any ideas on things I could do differently or could change or adjust. This minigame currently isn't available, but maybe someday after doing some more tweaks and testing, I might put it out there for free for anyone who's interested to download and give it a try. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day.